Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish, where you find out how to integrate that book and your marketing and everything you need for visibility in the marketplace. A couple things before we get started with today's guest. I want to invite you to go over to YouTube and follow us on Superbrand Publishing. You can see all the video of the great people that I interview here. You can see they're real people. You can see today that my guest's hair blends with his background. So you get to see all that really great stuff. And don't forget to go over and take the quiz, our Promote, Profit, Publish quiz. You can find it at www.promoteprofitpublishquiz.com and find out if you have all the visibility it takes to publish a book, to make your business more visible, all of those places you need to be to get more clients. And that's what we're here for. So today's guest is really one of my favorite clients. I love what he's doing in the world. His name is Steven Kirch, and he is the CEO of Profit Minds, LLC. And following a successful career as a manager and leader in high tech, Dr. Steven Kirch, I should have introduced him that way, brings his passion for helping small businesses to his clients. His goal is to help small business owners generate more clients, close more sales, and increase their overall revenue and profits quickly and inexpensively so that they can live the life of their dreams. Dr. Kirch has been a certified facilitator of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People for more than 20 years and uses that along with a variety of other tools to enable his clients to co-create custom approaches for the integration of these time-tested strategies into their business. So he's a productivity guy, he's a business growth strategist. And for those of you who've ever worked with a business growth strategist, sometimes it can be really overwhelming. Steve actually brings that back down to earth so you can get it done well. In addition, he's on the board of the Gratitude Network, a leadership development organization that works with social entrepreneurs around the world to enable the growth of these innovative companies that are changing the lives of children and youth all over the world. Dr. Kirch has a passion for music, and I'm going to make him sing a little on here today.
Oh,
and
no.
He sings with the Fog City Singers in San Francisco. Wait till you hear his voice. You never know when he talks that he has this amazing voice. He's appeared on stage in theatrical productions at the Bankhead in Livermore, and when he's not busy with music, you can find him on his bicycle or on the golf course. He's been married to his wife, Donna, for 40 years. I know many of my listeners out there, you're not even 40 years old. You can't imagine that. He has 2 wonderfully intelligent and talented daughters who are making their own way in the world. Well, thank you, Steve. Did you write that all by yourself? No.
Actually, I had a little help. One of my daughters teaches writing at Columbia, so she helps me with most of my copy.
There you go. That's fantastic. So before we get started, sing us something.
Oh, really?
Yes. Wait till you hear his voice, guys.
This is from my favorite musical, Man of La Mancha. And this is the title song.
Okay.
Hear me now, O thou bleak and unbearable world, thou art base and debauched as can be. And a knight with his banner so bravely unfurled now hurls down his gauntlet to thee. I, Don Quixote, the Lord of La Mancha, my destiny calls and I go. And the wild wind of fortune shall carry me onward, oh, whithersoever they blow. Whithersoever they blow, onward to glory I go.
Yay! Thank you. We've never had a singer on our show before. So thank you for playing along. You guys, I did not even tell him this was going to happen. So
yeah,
you're
not warmed up, nothing,
really?
Right? It's early in the morning and it's what you get.
And it's smoky in San Francisco, so it's probably affecting his vocal cords. So no, thank you for being such a great sport. So we actually are going to talk about something here today. Steve, you have been working as a productivity coach for many, many years, and tell people what that means and how you're integrating it with your business growth strategist business as well.
Yeah. So, um, as you pointed out, I became a certified facilitator of the Covey 7 Habits because for me, I found the material when I took it, when I took the class, I found it personally transformational. And I was so inspired that I wanted to teach people. And I found a real joy and passion in the lights that go on in people's eyes as they get it, right? And what I'm teaching is not rocket science. These are things that are relatively simple to say anyway, easy concepts. They're just really hard to implement. Uh, and so over the years, while I was at Intel, that's where I spent the majority of my career. One of the things that they do is require senior leaders to teach at least 3 classes a year in order to keep the culture going. And so very often I would teach this kind of class. And as I contemplated giving up my corporate gig, some people call that retirement. I don't think that's an appropriate term because I'm certainly not retired. The thought of bringing that to small businesses, to people who are struggling to get stuff done, to figure out which of the hundreds of thousands of things that everybody has on their to-do list, how do you pick from those? How do you decide what to do next? The Covey Company has interviewed hundreds of thousands of people and asked them, well, what fraction of your time do you spend working on things that are important versus things that are not that important? And the average over hundreds of thousands of people is about 60-40. About 60% of people's time spent on stuff that's important and about 40% of your time on stuff that's not that important. And I've taught this class to hundreds of people myself. And that's the answer that I get almost, plus or minus 1 percentage point in every class that I've taught. They take a pre-test, pre-class assessment, and that's what they tell me. And so what does that mean for an entrepreneur, for a small business owner? Well, if you're doing a 10-hour day, that means probably 4 hours of your day is working on stuff that's just not that important. So my goal as a productivity coach was to figure out, okay, if I could get you an hour of that back, I'm not going to get you all 4. That's ludicrous to claim that. But if I could get you an hour of that back, what would you do with it? Okay. And many small business owners got really excited about that. Wow, think about that. I mean, and one of the questions I asked, right, was, well, would you do product development? Would you do business growth? Would you business development? Or would you take that hour and spend it with your family? What's the value of that? Well, it was really hard for small business owners to tell me what an hour of their time was worth. Most of them have no idea. Mm-hmm. And so it was very difficult for them to understand what true value in dollars and cents I was bringing them. So when I came across this systematic method, I'm a very systems sort of person. I came across this systematic way of addressing business growth. I said, wow, here is something that I can help my clients understand exactly what the value of what they'll be working on is. So very systematically go through getting more prospects, turning those prospects into clients, taking those clients and maximizing the value of those current clients, looking at pricing structure. And then finally, profitability. What's the bottom line? How does this work? Are you making enough money? And so now, sitting down with a small business owner for 45 minutes to an hour, I'll find $50, $75, $100,000 in untapped revenue that they can implement fairly simple strategies. The hard part, of course, is finding the time to do it, because everybody's busy. And with COVID, goodness, all of the extra stuff that you got to do because the kids are home and you got to worry about getting them onto their Zoom call for school, or, you've got all of this other stuff going on that last year we didn't have to worry about. So those are the kinds of things that I talk to the small business owner about. So it's how to grow your business, and then how do you find the time to implement those strategies.
That is so cool. So what's so awesome about this is a couple things. It's the difference between working in your business and working on your business, which so many of us end up with, especially small businesses. I remember when I was the CFO for a company, I literally was the janitor that, you know, half the time I was doing human resources, which you can imagine me, I suck at that. Like, get out of my office. I don't want, you know, I'm not into drama.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's wrong with you? Suck it up, Buttercup. I would make a horrible human resources manager. But it's the difference between doing all of those things and actually working on that lead generation piece of your business, which is so pivotal to growing it every day. But it's also habit management, because this learning to do this in a new way requires you to break some old habits, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. My favorite book on habits is Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg, where he talks about how you have to have, you know, we all talk about motivation, and our problem is we're just not motivated enough. Well, he says, actually, that's almost always the last thing you should work on. Mm-hmm. What you should do is you should make it really easy to do it. Mm. And you should take small steps. Favorite story out of the book. He wanted to learn how to do more push-ups. So what did he do? Rather than say, well, I'm going to do, you know, as many push-ups as I can every day, he would say, every time I go to the bathroom, I'm going to do 2 push-ups. And so he had a prompt, which was go to the bathroom, and he had the ability to do something, 2 push-ups. Anybody can do 2 push-ups. And so the motivation didn't have to be high. Okay. So you need to think about your, you know, changing your habits, not in terms of, oh, I've got to have this grand plan. Make it tiny, take a small step. When I wanted to start journaling in the evening, right before I go to bed, I put the journal by my bed, so I had a prompt. And I said, Steve, all you have to do is write today's date in the journal. That's all I'm going to require. That's the small step. Right? And you know what? I haven't missed a day. Now, sometimes I don't write much more than that. Right? Sometimes it's a 2-minute thing. I'm too tired, but I journal every night. A new habit.
I'm imagining this thing that says too tired and tired, like draws off, like you fell asleep.
Pen, yes.
Yeah, you fell asleep in the middle of it.
Used to happen to me all the time in my college classes.
There you go. Yeah, I love that. And I know, I've always been super motivated. I love Brian Tracy's book too, Eat That Frog, because those things that you put off that are on your list day to day, do them first thing in the morning. When you can get in that habit and do that thing you hate first thing in the morning, the rest of the day's a breeze. So but it's
already you've already created a win. Mm-hmm. Right? By doing that, eating that big ugly frog, you've created a win for yourself for the day, and it doesn't matter what happens the rest of the day. The day's a victory.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So with the end of the year coming up and productivity being so important to next year's budgets, and people are deciding what they want to do and how are they going to do it, how do you do this and make it all profitable in these times?
Well, that's a really good question, right? I think, the real key here is to take a look at your lines of business, right? What are the businesses that you do? And, sit down. I encourage all of my clients to work with a CPA, an accountant, somebody. Don't do it on a spreadsheet, but sit down. This is a good time to do that anyway. You got to get ready for your taxes. So you should have somebody look through your books, and you should figure out if you have several different kinds of offerings that you make, even we don't call them lines of business, but several different offerings, look at the ones that are profitable. And what are the ones that really bring you joy? Because those are the ones that you will invest in. I mean, I can tell you all of the tricks about productivity, but fundamentally, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not going to do it. If you don't get some sort of satisfaction, that's one of the things that causes us to procrastinate. By the way, there are 6, but one of the things is that there's no personal benefit. There's no, I love doing this. So look at your lines of business in terms of, not only profitability, but what do I really enjoy? Mm-hmm. And if the thing that you really enjoy the most is not terribly profitable, maybe it's time to look at what it is that you're doing there that makes it not so profitable. Because fundamentally, again, I can't really change your motivation. Mm-hmm. And motivation's way too fickle to rely on that in terms of changing your habits. So that's the approach that I would take. You got to get your records together anyway. Tax time's coming. Better do that at the beginning, in December rather than waiting until January when it's too late. So get your records together. Take a look at your business. Go through them with somebody who has some sort of financial savvy, like a CPA, and figure out, set your goals based on what did you do and where do you really want to focus that effort, because that's the thing that brings you the most joy. If we're not having fun, we're not doing it right.
Right. That is true. But here's an even further point is when you're putting that together and making it fun, here's what happens with most budgets. And my friend Catherine Bell tells me this all the time. We do them and then we shove them in a drawer and we never look at them again. So be sure there's a plan behind that. How do you do that so that you can take what's on that paper and actually put it into an active plan?
So the thing that I recommend for my clients is that every week at the beginning of the week, I like to do this on Sunday evening. Take a look at, now I ask my clients to decide what roles do they play in their life. You should pick 5 to 7 that are most important to you. Maybe only a couple of those are actually associated with your business. For me, Profit Minds, I work on the business and I work in the business. Those are 2, right? So I do client work and I also do business development, right? So that's in the business and on the business, right? But I'm also a singer, a musician, if you will, although that's been hard this year. I'm a family man. I am very involved in my church. I'm very involved in the Gratitude Network, the nonprofit where I'm on the board, which you talked about earlier. So I balance those, and I'm an athlete, right? So I do work out a bunch of times a week, right? So sit down with your roles, and each of those roles should have a goal. And some of these goals we're talking about were the business goals. And again, there's an on the business and an in the business aspect to those things. What are you doing in terms of business development? What are you doing in terms of actually bringing in revenue? And again, most small business owners are really good at working in the business because that's why they got into it. Mm-hmm. They're not so good at being a business person, working on the business and making sure that the business is set up for the future. But look at your goals for that role and write down 1 or 2 most important things that you could do this week toward those goals. Set those up at the beginning of the week. Again, I like to do that on Sunday evening. And here's the trick. Find time on your calendar when you're going to do that and block it out and put down specifically what you're going to do. Okay? If you're going to work out 3 times this week, don't just say, well, I think maybe I'll do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday at 2 o'clock, Wednesday at 7 a.m., Friday at, right? Put it on your calendar. You're much more likely to actually do the thing.
Yeah, that is such great advice too. I remember back in real estate, we used to have to block out our prospecting time because that's how you generated leads. And I still, to this day, I do that. I don't take my first appointment till 9. I work out, I come in, and I get some basic things done before I start taking calls. So you have to be able to manage and do that with your time to get everything in.
And here's a funny thing, because I had a client who would do that, and she would also make a daily plan, which, by the way, I recommend, because your weekly plan works
pleasure.
until
Thanks
about,
for having me, Juliet.
what, about 5 minutes after 9 on Monday?
Yep. Especially on Monday, because
Exactly.
it's always that I'm slammed with the stuff.
Yeah. Right. So take a look at those things and reconnect with those things. You know, what were your intentions for the week? Reconnect with those as you make your daily plan. What did I miss yesterday? What am I struggling with? Where do I need to refocus my energy in terms of getting that stuff done? You need to make sure you connect your daily plan with your weekly plan. And so that every day as you're rejiggering because of what did or didn't happen yesterday, maybe it's a great opportunity and you got to push some stuff out of the way today because you had this great opportunity that came up yesterday. All of that's wonderful, but there's a cost associated with that, an opportunity cost.
Yeah.
So making sure that you look at your plan, you look at what your goals are every week. Again, I like to do this on Sunday evening as I looked at the week ahead. What white space did I have? Where could I do stuff? Some people like to do it Monday morning when they're fresh. It doesn't matter. Beginning of the week, take a look, put the most important, one or two most important things for each goal, put it on your calendar, and then reevaluate that every morning before you look at your email. Don't look at your email first. That's the worst productivity thing you can do. Because then you're reacting to what other people are asking you to do instead of doing the stuff that's important to you.
Yes, that is such good advice. I want to add too, having the routine. You hear Steve say he does Sunday. For me, on Friday afternoon when I finish up, or Friday morning sometimes because I play golf on Friday.
Nice.
I write next week's when are my appointments? When do I have gaps? But I also do this, which Steve and I are going to talk a little bit about in a minute. I have the appointments, I have them on a lead sheet to make sure that I'm talking to 10 new people every week. And I'm failing this week. I only have 4 on there. So I'm on LinkedIn getting that made up because I played golf last Friday.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of thing you have to incorporate too, is who are these new people you're going to talk to, whether it's your LinkedIn prospecting, whether it's partnerships. Talk about that a little bit, because those 10 new people are either partners, they're new clients that someone's referred, there's somebody that I'm following up. Talk about the partnership bit a little bit on this with the generating revenue.
Yeah. This is actually an interesting avenue that people don't take real advantage of. Many people do. Hang on a second. I need a little bit of fluid here.
Okay. I'm going to take a fluid break as well.
I think people don't use is the wrong word, but people don't take advantage of their referral relationships the way they should. A lot of people talk about affiliates, and if you get me a client, I'll send you some piece of that, that business, right? That's fine. A kindergartner can set that up, right? The real way to forge a relationship and to get referral partners to want to refer things to you is if you can help them with a problem that they have with their clients. Let me illustrate in a couple of different ways. I have a client who's an interior designer. She works very closely with construction folks who actually then rebuild the house or the commercial space, right? So she goes in and designs it, and they do the build. They do the actual construction. How does she make herself valuable to that construction person so that anytime a construction person finds a potential client, he or she refers to that interior designer? Well, there's a couple of things that construction people don't like to deal with. They don't like to have to talk to the clients in the midst of a job about decisions that they still need to make, like redoing a bathroom. What faucet are you going to use? Or what tile are you going to use? Or what cabinetry are you going to, right? All of that stuff. They don't like doing that. So the interior designer says to the construction person, look, I'm not going to just hand this design over the wall to you. I'm going to be your project manager through the entire process. And I'm going to walk with you, and any of that client interaction, I'll handle it. I'll make sure that those decisions are made so that it doesn't impact your ability to get the job done. You will never have to wait for that, right? How much more likely is that construction worker, that contractor, to refer business to that interior designer versus somebody who just does a design and throws it over the wall and says, here, it's yours, right? I alluded to this earlier. I do similar things with CPAs for my coaching business. What's the biggest problem that CPAs have with their clients? Is that they show up around the 1st of February or the 1st of March with a box of receipts and a pile of invoices and says, my taxes are due soon, can you help me? Right? And of course, from a CPA perspective, from a tax preparation perspective, it's already too late to do anything about what happened last year. Right? That stuff has to happen in December. That's what we talked about earlier. So I say to the CPA, send me a couple of those clients. I promise you that every client that you send me will see you at least twice a year, if not 4 times a year. So you can actually do some accounting work and some financial advising and helping that business owner understand his or her finances, which is what the CPA loves to do anyway. And by the way, they can also charge that client more because now they're seeing them 4 times a year, and taxes become easy because it's already done at the end of the year when you get to December. Right? So the value that I'm bringing to the CPA is not that I'll send you 10% of the business, but they're actually going to be able to grow their business because they've referred that client to me. So think about, when you're thinking about referral partners, think about the challenge that those referral partners have with their clients that you can help with. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. And you and I have discussed this before. Well, you've heard me discuss it on calls. A click is not a relationship. This whole affiliate thing, people want real relationships. Another way that you can help is, if I gave someone to Steve, I might say something like, they shared with me that they're having problems here, here, and here. So vet people, build relationships so you know exactly what those people you're referring do, because you can maximize their business as well with what you're putting in. Something that Steve may not pull out of them right away because he doesn't know them as well as you do, you can suggest when you really build those relationships with those partners. I have quite a few partners, probably 90% of my business is referral. And I talk to those partners all the time. What are you doing? Have you shifted? Can you do this? So you don't just rely on a click is what I'm saying, because a click is not a relationship, no matter what the digital marketers tell you.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and if you think about it, if you can get one new referral partner a quarter who sends you one a month, right? Each referral partner sends you one client a month. That's a huge growth in your business. You wind up with 30 new clients by the end of the year.
Yeah, that's really, really, really amazing. With COVID and everything, online networking groups, things like that, are they a must in this environment? Because I know you're a guy who used to do a lot of networking groups in person. Do you think?
Yeah, I still think it is all about the relationship, and you need to find the right group for you, people that your sphere, right? The people that service the same kind of clients that you do. You need to find the right kind of networking group. And there are lots of different ones around. They are all virtual at this point. Who knows when they will go back to being in person. In fact, I've joined one that is a national group, and it will never be other than on Zoom.
Yeah.
But I'm building relationships with people in New York, in Florida, in Tennessee, Wisconsin, and gosh, even the state of Utah.
Wait a minute. Who do you know? No. But
you need to build those relationships. You need to have a virtual coffee meeting periodically with those folks.
That making sure that gets done every week.
And connecting that way, and reaching out, and the first call should not be, hey, can I sell you something?
Exactly. I was just going to add that in. It should not be. It's about, oh, here's what I do, but it's not selling.
Right.
So important.
And you should be more interested in hearing what they have to say than in telling them what you have.
Mm-hmm. No, I absolutely agree. But that also means that you have to set that time aside every week now. So what are those? I belong to 2 national networking groups, and I'm still that one of them I get lots of business from. The other one I'm still vetting. So vet when you're in there as well. Look at it 2 months in. Are you getting ROI? Are you getting leads? Is this worth your time to do? Because I think we tend to stay in those groups too long sometimes.
I'm not sure I would agree with the 2 months in. Mm-hmm. I think it may take a little longer for some people to build those kinds of relationships, particularly when you don't have the opportunity to sit down with them in person, and the relationship that you're building here is over Zoom, mm-hmm. right? It's not the same quality of relationship. I have to admit that. Right.
Yeah.
So I probably would give it a little longer than that, but I think you're right. I think people sometimes stay in those groups that are not a good fit for them. Mm-hmm. I actually did that myself. Stayed in a group a little bit longer than I should have, because I really liked the people and the energy in the room, and I was a part of an in-person group. And then when we went online, I still had those relationships, but it really wasn't bringing me enough business. And right. So I had to say farewell.
Right.
But that's not, and again, so I'm not a perfect person in this, but I'm learning as well. Mm-hmm. I think these Zoom interactions are here to stay. In fact, it's been a boon for my business, because I used to do all of my business in person in coffee shops. And now I've realized, I can do this kind of thing effectively over Zoom. Mm-hmm. I don't have to. I miss the ability to really physically connect with some of my clients, but I can be effective over Zoom. And so it's opened up the whole nation to me. In fact, I can go elsewhere. I've actually been talking to somebody in South Africa. There's a silver lining with every cloud. There really is. You just have to find it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've actually turned down some, we're getting back more into person-to-person events. I've actually turned a couple down, because it's like, well, why do I want to get on a plane? I can kind of do this from home now. And why do I want to stay in a hotel and eat bad food and, not be able to run? So, I think we're all learning to balance a little bit differently and do things differently. And I don't know that I will ever really go to big in-person events again, because I'm getting more value from the online and connecting that way. So it's very interesting what we've all kind of pivoted and done this year.
Yes, there's learning opportunities all around.
So Steve, where can we find you? It's year end. People want this kind of stuff. They need this kind of stuff. You guys don't wait till January. Where can we find you? Do you have anything you want to give us away today?
Sure. So thanks to Juliet, I have a quiz, surprise. And it's a way of understanding your profitability and how are you doing with getting leads and clients and those kinds of things. It's at theprofitquiz.com, www.theprofitquiz.com. Go there. It's a 5-minute quiz. And when you finish that, you get a copy of the conversion equation evaluator. And the conversion equation, which we really haven't talked about, is how is it that your marketing, how well is your marketing material getting to your prospects? How well does it grab a hold of them and get them to sign up for your lead magnet, right? So it's a PDF that you'll get for free. You can also go to my website, www.profitminds.net, and get my ebook. I have a book called Mind Your Profits, and it lays out some of those strategies that we use with our clients. So you're welcome to do that as well.
Great. So thank you so much, Steve. You guys, you'll see all that in the show notes. Go over and look him up. You know, we all have gotten a little off track this year. So year end is a perfect time to get all of this together and get next year planned and really take off on the right foot. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliet. Really enjoyed the conversation.